They say the desert does not forgive the fools, nor the curious. And I was always a little of both. I can't say for sure what led me to cross the dry lands of Chaparral alone that damn season, perhaps the thirst for answers, or perhaps only the old mania to go where no man should put his feet. But I learned early that there are places where silence is too thick, where even the thoughts themselves try to whisper lower, as if they fear awakening something that sleeps under the earth. Have you ever felt that? Been to a corner of the world where the wind blows different, where the air weighs like lead in the lungs, and even the corner of the bird seems to avoid it? For that is how the Chaparral received me. 3 days of dust and stone, without seeing vive soul, just me, my horse, and the grinding of the sun-dried saddles. In these ways, even the shadow tastes like danger. But it was on the 4th day, when the sun burned loudly made God's judgment, which I spotted the first houses a village hidden between the slopes, almost swallowed by the desert itself, as if the earth wanted to erase it from the memory of the world. Low houses, cracked adobe, windows prohibited with boards, and no children in sight. No dog barking. No song escaping from the doors. Only black flags fluttering at the entrances, a warning, a lament, or perhaps both. Strange, no? What leads an entire people to hide on the day? What a great sin weighs on a place to the point of silencing all your children. I slowly dismantled, the hand always near the pistol cable, and went to the nearest house porch. I knocked on the door, I called. No answer. I was ready to turn my back when I heard slow steps in the gravel. An old man emerged from the corner of the house, a parchment-eyed skin, back eyes, carrying a shotgun that seemed to weigh twice as much of his strength. He didn't ask me who I was, or where it came from. He only lowered his eyes, made the sign of the cross and murmured, "Why did you come? It shouldn't be here." "Why?" He insisted. "What's in this place that makes men hide even from sunlight?" He was a woman, peering through the crack of the door, who responded with a hoarse whisper, as who fears being heard. "It's the beast. It comes when the moon grows. It takes men. And it takes it whole. And I wonder, to this day, what kind of creature is able to pull the name and courage of an entire people? My name is Sam Houston, the man made of flesh, bone, and failures. I am not strange to fear. I have already faced Mexican cannons spitting fire to San Jacinto. I have already crossed rivers full of fever and lost more friends than I can tell the knife and gunpowder. But I'll tell you something, and listen well, the fear that lives in the hearts of that village. Oh, this I never saw the same." They were silent after those words whispered over the beast. The woman knocked the door as fast as she opened her, leaving only the echo of her voice hanging in the hot air. The old man, still with his eyes, turned slowly, as if even the movement of the body were an affront to some presence that watched us from the shadows. "The moon grows today," he murmured, almost in a lament. "If you came to get shelter, go away. It's not a night for the outsider. But what is a man without the curiosity that boils in his veins? What is Sam Houston, if not someone unable to retreat before the unknown?" The old man was already walking away when I took courage and held him by his arm, kind, but firm. "Tell me, old. What is she, this beast? A man? A beast? Or worse?" He raised his eyes to me, and I swear for all that is sacred, there was a deep sadness, those who only carried those who have already buried children. No one saw and came back to tell. We only heard the screams. First the call, then the drag by the stones, and silence. Always the silence. He let go of my arm as he releases the handle of a too-heavy axe to carry and disappeared between the houses. I stood there, feeling the warm wind blow, raising swirls of dust between empty streets. The village was small, a dozen constructions at most, all nailed windows, tables reinforced with boards and chains. A crooked bell hung from the chapel, but did not play, perhaps for fear of waking up what slept on the stones. I asked myself, why was it still there? Why didn't I ride on the horse and follow my way, leaving those people and their terrors behind? But there are questions that do not let a man rest, and my simple error, what could be so terrible that it made until the angry hide as a cornered child? As the afternoon was slow, I went to the dry well in the center of the square. I looked inside, deep, dark, dead. Around, marks on earth, as if something heavy had been dragged from there towards the hills north. Footprints? No. Shouts. Back, irregular trails, as if something with claws had excavated the sand when pulled or pulling its prey. I followed the trail for a few meters to where the stones began to rise, sharp as teeth. The rail disappeared between narrow slits, where the heat seemed to be pulsed like heart. There, even day by day, the smell was strange, a mixture of blood, sulfur, and rot. Don't go there, outsider. The voice behind me was weak, but he carried the urgency of those who have seen death up close. I turned and found an elderly woman sitting on the chapel step. He wore black, his face covered with a slightly labeled scarf. This is her trail, he continued, pointing with his chin to the path I observed. It was around that they took my boy. There are 2 moons. I approached, lowering the hat in respect. Your name, lady? Candelaria, he said, without looking into my eyes. And it's no use asking for his name. Here, when the beast takes, we no longer speak the name. Who is taken, it is better to forget. I shut up for a moment, feeling the weight of those words. In San Jacinto, I saw men fall and no one dared to stop honoring their names. But there was different. It was fear that kept the memory of the dead, does not honor. And what do they say about the creature? I asked, the lowest voice than I intended. Is it man? Is it a beast? Is it a devil thing? She just shook her head, the scarf covering half her face. We have heard heavy steps on full moon nights. Sometimes drags chains, sometimes howling wolf, but it's not wolf. Her cry is deeper, more human. And when she comes, she sings a strange song like a lost woman. It gave me chills, I don't deny it. What kind of animal howling and sings at the same time? What kind of creature feeds not only on the flesh, but the fear that plants before it comes? I stayed there for a while, looking at the old woman, feeling the afternoon die slowly. When the sun began to hide behind the stones, I saw the doors of the houses close one by one, looked down, past chains. Each family, collected in the terror itself. I went back to my writing, ran my hand over the hot animal, felt that he was restless. A horse knows when death surrounds, and my snorting low, bustled eyes, turning the ears everywhere. The moon was already lifted, a little full, but strong enough to pour out its pale light on the desert. And then I heard away from the hills the first sign. A strange sound, something between singing and lament. It was not a scream of beast, it was not a man's voice. It was something else. And I wondered, while the night fell and the air warmed. Has the beast ever felt? Does it come behind me now that I broke into your domain? I lowered the hat, pulled the holster to the closer, and waited. The night fell like thick cloak, drowning to the sound of the wind. The almost full moon climbed lazy in the sky, throwing its pale shine over the stones surrounding the village, how to illuminate a stage where the show of death would soon start. I don't know if they have noticed, but there is something in the clarity of the moon that seems to light the demons of the world, and perhaps also those inside us. With every step I took between those silent houses, I felt a shiver up the back, as if cold, invisible hands wanted to pull me back, away from the hills, away from the stones where the tracks were lost. The horse didn't want to follow. It packed, snorting, the wide eyes, the tense muscles like strings of a bow ready to burst. I knew, the dam. I knew more than me. Well, then, he told him, releasing the ree. If I come back, well. If not, follow your way. I led him tied by the chapel, where at least the walls could give some shelter. I'm not a man to deny omens, but I'm not running a scared rabbit either. The beast that spoke so much. She was now a matter of honor. Or would it be proud? Hard to say where one starts and the other ends. Armed with my rifle and with the waist, I followed the trail that had previously seen in daylight. Among the stones, the path seemed more closed, narrower, made a throat ready to swallow those who dared to cross. It was then that I heard. I don't sing it, not the howl. Another thing. A low drag, like nails scraping the rocks. And among this almost stuffy sound, I heard someone's moan, someone who still lived. Or that I tried. They say fear can freeze a man. But I tell you, there's a fear that makes the blood boil, which pushes the legs forward even when the heart kicks wanting to come back. And it was that warm fear that took me on, following that sound. The stones there formed a natural, narrow, dark corridor. Among them, I saw dark spots on the floor. Dry blood. And something else, hair strands, stuck in a thorn, as if someone had been strayed there. I asked you, what creature drags a living soul instead of killing it soon? What pleasure in taking slowly, letting fear cook the meat before ripping it? I continued, rifle in hand, eyes attentive to each shadow. That's when I heard the snap, a dry snap, bone, starting forward. I increased the step, heart beating hard, and reached a clearing surrounded by larger stones, almost natural walls. There, in the moonlight, I saw the horror. A man, or what was left of him, trapped between the cracks of the stone, his arms skinned to the bone, his face covered with deep scratches. His wide eyes looked up to the top, but without seeing anything else. In the mouth, the foam mixed with the blood. I approached slowly, the rifle erected, the finger light in the trigger. But there was no more life in him. And then I realized, it was not the blood, it was not the wounds that shivered me to the soul. It was what was carved on the stone, above the man's head. Symbols. Old brands, scratched with something sharp, maybe claws. Curves that intertwined, forming a circle within another, and another, like eyes inside their eyes. I have never seen one the same. It was neither Spanish nor indigenous. That was something else. I leaned over, examining the marks, trying to understand. And that's when I felt the smell. Strong, acid, mixed with the stench of painted meat. Came from behind the stones. I turned fast, pointing the rifle to the darkness of the slit. And from the bottom came the sound. Not a scream. Not a roar. But a heavy, deep, noisy breath as if the desert itself breathed there. Who's there? I shouted, firmly, but my chest was beating as a war drum. Nothing answered. Just the breathing, closer now. And then I saw the eyes. 2 points of yellow light, low, almost close to the floor, shining in the darkness of the cave. They moved slowly, from side to side, as who lurks, as who studies. I mentioned retreating, but something arrested me in place. I don't know if it was fear or damn stubbornness that has always chased me. But I stayed there, waiting. And it has advanced. First, a claw. Long, curved, more black than the pitch of the night. Then the contour of the head large, disrupted, as if it were half man, half beast, covered with a thin, whitish, dirty blood with dry blood. The teeth. The teeth were many, but irregular, crooked, spread in the wide mouth that opened slowly, as if smiling. Sam Houston, said a voice. A voice that should not have come from that mouth. A voice that was almost a whisper, almost a singing. My name. That thing knew my name. And I ask you, how does such a monster, lost in the Chaparral stones, know the name of a man before seeing him? The rifle trembled in my hands. The mouth dried up. The sweat came down cold in the back. Sam Houston. Came to see. Came to listen. And the beast, still smiling, still moving slowly, lifted one of the claws and pointed to the sky. The moon was red. My name echoed in the mouth of that thing as if it were prayer. A dragged death singing, full of sickly enjoyment. Sam Houston. And at that moment I knew, it was no coincidence that I found myself there. That beast was waiting for me. Maybe days, maybe for years. Maybe since before I knew it would come. But how? How could she know the name of a man, among many who have already crossed these lands? Does every soul taken, every body dragged into that cave, had the name whispered the same way? Or was I the only one called so, with such certainty, with such hunger in the voice? Fear held my feet, but the shame of retreating was greater weight. I am not a man to turn my back. I was not born to escape shadow or demon. I pointed the firm rifle, light finger on the trigger. What the hell are you? I shouted. Man, beast, or worse? Speak, miserable. The beast did not answer. It only advanced another step, slow, measuring each movement. And the more it was, the more impossible it was to understand. The form. God forgive me, the form was not fixed. One leg larger than the other, one arm that stretched beyond the natural, the skin oscillating between hair and scale, as if the body itself didn't know for sure what it was. And the eyes, those yellow eyes, stuck in me, never blinked. Never. "Do you listen, Sam Houston?" she said, and her voice seemed now made of 1,000 voices, men, women, old, children, all together, all mixed. "Listen to those who came before you." That's when I heard. From the cave, under the drag of heavy breath, arose murmurs. Drills. Whispers of supplication. Stupid screams. And among them, names thrown in the wind, names of dead. And in the end, again, mine. Sam. The sweat blinded my eyes. I took a deep breath, firmly, pulled the trigger. The shot echoed between the stones, tall, dry. I saw the bullet hit the creature's chest. I saw the crack of the meat being drilled. But she did not move. Smiled. And then something strange happened. Where the shot had hit, there was no blood. Instead of the wound, a slit, like mouth, like an eye, and from it drained white worms, small, thousands, struggling, falling to the ground and spreading. My stomach rolled, but I kept the aim. I shot again and again. Each bullet seemed to open more holes, from where they came out more of those things, spreading, boiling, climbing through the stones, covering the floor like a living tide. "Why fight, Sam Houston?" The voice whispered. "Here, every man lowers his head. Every man listens." Retracting, I stepped on the damp stone and almost fell. The worms climbed through my boots, trying to reach the skin. I kicked, crushed, but where I killed one, there were 3. It was then that I saw, there in the stone scratched marks, the circles inside circles, the eyes inside their eyes. And in their center, a crooked cross-shaped brand, poorly designed, almost like a cut. The words of the old candlery came to mind. When she sings, it's to call the names. And when she writes, it's to arrest the souls. I looked around, the rifle already useless, and thought, would that be the bond? Are these marks the secret that gave the damn strength? I took the dagger stuck to the waist, short but sharp blade. With the back of my hand, I cleaned my eyes and approached the inscriptions. The creature advanced, realizing my intention, the claws stretching, the face distorting in a scream that was not of pain but of anger. "Here, Sam Houston!" he shouted, and the voice made the stones vibrate. "This is the end of every man." But I was already there, kneeling by the stone. With all the remaining strength, I caught the dagger right in the center of the brand, tearing the circle, breaking the crooked lines. The blade shaved in the stone, tearing sparks, and at the same moment I heard the corner change. I was sorry, it became a scream. With supplication, it became despair. The creature staggered, the eyes flashing for the first time, confused, wide. The worms began to squirm as if they burned. The heavy breath of the beast became a short, wounded panty. "No," he whispered. "No." The floor trembled under my feet. The stones began to crack, the entire cave vibrating as if the desert tried to spit out what you should never have housed. I got up, the dagger still dug into the rock, and gave the creature a last look. Now she no longer smiled. The face, or what was left of him, was crumbled into pieces, running like candle wax, melting in the light of the red moon. I ran. The floor collapsed behind me, the cave ruined, swallowing. I jumped over a slit that opened, the heat rising from the depths as if hell itself fired under those stones. When I reached the horse, loose, in panic, I set up a jump. I hit her heels and rose without looking back. The wind blew hard, the sand spoiled around, hiding the vision, but I knew I had left behind what should never have left the bowels of the earth. I arrived at the village already with the sun licking the horizon. The golden light illuminated faces that spied through the cracks, tired but alive eyes. I felt the weight of what you have seen, the burden of having crossed with something that no man should know. And to this day I wonder, when night falls and the desert sings his wind songs, did she really die? Or just sleep again, waiting for the next moon, waiting for the next name? My name is Sam Houston. And these lands keep more secrets than a man's heart can handle.